Ladies and gentlemen, hear this clearly. 2026 is not just another number on a calendar. It is not a continuation of your pain, your delay, your disappointment, or your waiting. 2026 is a turning point. It is a divine interruption to everything that tried to define you by what you survived instead of what you are becoming. You didn't come this far to stay the same. You didn't endure sleepless nights, silent battles, unanswered prayers, and unseen tears just to plateau. Something has been forming in you quietly, deeply, intentionally, and now the season has shifted. There are years where you sow, and there are years where you weep. But then there comes a year where everything you carried in faith starts demanding manifestation. 2026 is that year. This is the year where clarity replaces confusion, where strength replaces survival mode, where wisdom silences noise. You will stop explaining yourself to people who never had the capacity to understand you in the first place. You will stop shrinking to fit spaces that were never built for your calling. Some doors will close, not because you failed, but because you outgrew them. Some relationships will fade, not because you lack love, but because you gained vision. Don't mourn what exits your life when it can no longer walk at the speed of your destiny. You are entering a year where discipline will matter more than motivation, where consistency will speak louder than announcements, where your private decisions will shape your public outcomes. This is the year you stop waiting to feel ready and start moving because you are called. What once intimidated you will now recognize your authority. What once delayed you will now accelerate you. The fear that kept you silent will no longer have permission to sit at the table of your decisions. 2026 is the year you stop reacting and start responding. You will no longer move emotionally. You will move intentionally. You will no longer chase validation. You will walk in assignment. And yes, there will be resistance. Change always agitates what benefited from your stagnation. But don't confuse resistance with rejection. Often, resistance is proof that you are finally pushing against the right wall. This year, your voice will carry weight. Your presence will bring shift. Your obedience will unlock provision. You will understand that favor is not random. It responds to alignment. You will also learn the power of silence, not because you have nothing to say, but because everything doesn't deserve your energy. In 2026, you will master the art of moving quietly and landing loudly. People will feel the difference before you ever explain it. This is the year you stop rehearsing what went wrong and start rehearsing what is possible. The year you stop identifying as broken and start functioning as built. Built with purpose, built with endurance, built with authority. So stand up to this year with courage. Walk into it with humility and hunger. Guard your mind, protect your focus, obey the inner instruction. Because when 2026 finishes its work in you, you will not recognize the person who entered it. Everything changes, not because life suddenly gets easy, because you get stronger, wiser, sharper, and more aligned. 2026 is not an extension of what broke you. It is not a recycled version of your disappointment, delay, or disappointment dressed in a new calendar. It is a turning point, a line drawn in time where what was no longer has the authority to dictate what will be. Some years repeat lessons because the lesson wasn't learned. But there are moments, rare defining moments, when life does not repeat itself. It responds to growth. 2026 is one of those moments. Turning point does not always arrive with noise. It often comes quietly, disguised as discomfort, restlessness, or an unexplainable urge to change. You may not have seen fireworks, but you felt a shift. Old patterns no longer satisfy you. Conversations that once energized you now exhaust you. Places that once felt safe now feel small. That is not confusion. That is transition. Continuation feels familiar. Turning points feel unsettling because they demand movement. If 2025 was about endurance, 2026 is about direction. Endurance teaches you how to survive storms. Direction teaches you where to build after the storm passes. You did not survive what you survived just to remain stuck in the same emotional posture, the same mindset, the same cycles. Survival was training. Now comes alignment. Continuation keeps you explaining yourself to people who already decided who you were. A turning point frees you from that need. In 2026, you will notice that your energy no longer flows toward convincing, proving, or defending. You will become selective, focused, intentional. Not because you are cold, but because you are clear. And clarity is dangerous to anything that benefited from your confusion. This year will not ask you to be louder. It will ask you to be wiser. Not every battle deserves your response. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Every open door is meant for you to walk through. A turning point sharpens discernment. You stop asking, can I? And start asking, should I? That question alone will save you years. Continuation keeps emotional habits alive. Turning points confront them. In 2026, you will no longer be comfortable blaming the past for present inaction. Healing will become a responsibility, not just a desire. You will understand that what happened to you was not your fault, but what happens through you is your responsibility. That realization marks maturity. Maturity always precedes expansion. Expect resistance. Turning points disturb systems. When you change, the environment that benefited from your old version reacts. People may misunderstand your silence, question your distance, or label your growth as arrogance. Growth always looks threatening to those who chose stagnation. Do not negotiate your future to make others comfortable with your past. 2026 will also teach you that progress does not always look dramatic. Some of the biggest shifts happen internally before they ever show externally. You will think differently. You will react slower. You will choose peace faster. You will walk away sooner. These are not small changes. They are evidence that the turning point is working. Continuation keeps you rehearsing what went wrong. Turning point trains your mind to anticipate what can go right. Hope returns, not as wishful thinking, but as quiet confidence. You stop chasing outcomes and start committing to process. You stop asking for quick results and start building sustainable foundations. This year is not about instant reward, it is about lasting transformation. There will be moments in 2026 when you are tempted to go back to familiar habits, familiar people, familiar thinking, not because it is better, but because it is known. Turning points always come with nostalgia. But remember, familiarity is not safety. Sometimes it is simply a memory that refuses to release control. Growth requires forward obedience, not backward comfort. This year will demand discipline over motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline builds when motivation is absent. You will learn that consistency is not glamorous, but it is powerful. Quiet routines will outperform loud intentions. What you do daily will outweigh what you promise yearly. And by the end of 2026, the results will speak without needing explanation. You are not stepping into a year where everything magically becomes easy. You are stepping into a year where you become stronger. And when you change internally, external circumstances adjust accordingly. Strength changes how you interpret obstacles. Wisdom changes how you navigate them. Authority changes how long they are allowed to stay. 2026 is a turning point because it marks the end of waiting for permission. You will stop waiting for validation, applause, or agreement. You will move because alignment demands it. Purpose does not beg for approval. It responds to obedience. This year will teach you that closure does not always come with conversation. Sometimes closure comes with decision. You will stop reopening doors that life itself already closed. You will stop bleeding in spaces that refuse to heal you. And you will stop apologizing for choosing growth. A continuation would have kept you repeating explanations, excuses, and emotional loops. Turning point gives you vision, restraint, and courage. You will know when to speak and when to stay silent, when to push and when to pause, when to release and when to rebuild. By the time 2026 is done shaping you, you will not recognize the version of yourself that entered. Not because life changed overnight, but because you did. And when you change, everything connected to you must respond. And everything that leaves your life is a loss. Some things exit because they can no longer keep up with who you are becoming. Growth has a sound. Even when it happens quietly, it sounds like distance. It sounds like fewer explanations. It sounds like silence where there used to be noise. And often feels like grief, not because something was taken from you, but because something you once needed is no longer required. Outgrowing is rarely dramatic. It doesn't always announce itself with conflict or confrontation. Sometimes it happens subtly through a slow realization that what once fed you now drains you. Conversations feel repetitive. Environments feel restrictive. Connections feel heavy instead of life-giving. That discomfort is not betrayal. It is evolution. Growth will always challenge attachment. We often assume that if something mattered, it should last forever. But seasons do not work that way. Does not apologize for leaving once the ground is saturated. Roots do not cling to soil that can no longer support expansion. In the same way, relationships, habits, roles, and even dreams sometimes end not because they were wrong, but because they were temporary assignments. There are capacities you are developing now that require more space, more focus, more energy. Some people were meant to walk with you while you learned how to survive, but not while you learned how to lead. Some environments were designed to teach you humility, not to house your authority. If everything stayed the same, your growth would suffocate. It hurts because you are human. Letting go always hurts, even when it is necessary. Familiarity creates comfort, and comfort creates attachment. Attachment without alignment becomes a burden. When you hold on to what no longer fits, you delay what is trying to emerge. You may find yourself questioning why certain people are becoming distant, why certain doors are closing, why certain patterns are breaking. The truth is, growth changes the rules of access. When you elevate internally, externally some things lose permission to remain. Everything can come with you into your next level, not because it is bad, but because it is full. Think of it this way. You don't abandon clothes that no longer fit because you hate them. You release them because you've grown. Trying to force yourself back into what once fit only causes discomfort and distortion. In the same way, forcing yourself to remain connected to what you've outgrown distorts your identity. What makes this process painful is that outgrowing often happens before replacement arrives. There is a gap between release and renewal. And in that space, loneliness can whisper lies, telling you that you made a mistake, that you should go back, that starting over is too risky. But that gap is sacred. It is where clarity forms. It is where strength consolidates. It is where you learn to stand without leaning on what is familiar. You will also notice that as you grow, tolerance decreases. You no longer tolerate disrespect disguised as honesty. You no longer tolerate chaos labeled as passion. You no longer tolerate inconsistency justified by potential. This is not bitterness. This is maturity. You are learning that peace is not optional. It is essential. Some will misunderstand your boundaries. They will say you've changed, that you're distant, that you're not the same. They are right. You are not. Growth is change. And anyone who benefits from your old version will struggle to accept your new one. That does not mean you are wrong. It means the relationship was rooted in a season that has ended. Letting go does not erase gratitude. You can honor what something was without forcing it to remain. You can appreciate the role someone played without assigning them a role they are no longer meant to hold. Closure does not always require explanation. Sometimes closure is simply acceptance. As what is leaving exits your life, resist the urge to chase it. Chasing creates imbalance. What is meant to stay will not require pursuit. What is meant to go will resist retention. Trust that release is an act of faith, not failure. You are stepping into a version of yourself that needs clarity more than companionship, alignment more than approval, and peace more than popularity. That shift alone explains why certain things cannot stay. Outgrowing also means responsibility. You can no longer blame immaturity on ignorance. You can no longer excuse patterns you now recognize. Awareness demands action. Growth demands integrity. And integrity will always cost you something, but it will give you yourself in return. There is grief in growth, but there is also freedom. Freedom to become without negotiation. Freedom to choose what nourishes you. Freedom to walk forward without dragging the weight of what once was. What is leaving your life is making room. Room for healthier connections. Room for deeper purpose. Room for a stronger version of you who no longer survives, but builds. Do not romanticize what life is removing. Trust the wisdom behind the release. If it cannot grow with you, it cannot stay with you. Motivation is powerful, but it is unreliable. It comes in waves, rises with emotion, and fades with fatigue. Discipline, on the other hand, does not depend on how you feel. It does not ask for the right mood, the perfect moment, or external encouragement. Discipline shows up when motivation disappears. And that is why discipline will always outweigh motivation. Most people wait to feel inspired before they act. They wait for excitement to return, for confidence to rise, for fear to leave. Discipline does not wait. Discipline moves first and allows results to create motivation later. In the long run, it is not what you feel that shapes your life. It is what you repeatedly do. There are days when motivation feels unstoppable. You wake up energized, full of vision, ready to change everything. Those days feel powerful, but they are rare. Life is mostly built on ordinary days, days when you are tired, distracted, discouraged, or uncertain. Discipline was created for those days. It bridges the gap between intention and outcome. Discipline is choosing commitment over convenience. It is doing what matters even when it is uncomfortable. It is showing up when nobody is watching, applauding, or affirming you. This quiet consistency compounds into extraordinary results over time. Motivation often focuses on the end result. Discipline focuses on the process. Motivation asks, how will this feel when I win? Discipline asks, what must I do today to earn tomorrow? That shift in thinking changes everything. When you fall in love with the process, progress becomes inevitable. Discipline also protects you from emotional decision-making. When motivation leads, emotions control direction. One bad day can derail weeks of effort. One criticism can stop momentum. One setback can feel like failure. Discipline creates structure so emotions do not control outcomes. You don't quit because you feel tired. You don't stop because it gets hard. You don't abandon the vision because the feelings changed. It is easy to feel motivated when things are going well. The real test comes when results are slow, recognition is absent, and progress feels invisible. Discipline keeps you moving when evidence is minimal. It trusts the process even when the outcome has not yet appeared. That trust is not blind. It is built on consistency. Discipline is also an act of self-respect. It is a decision to honor your future more than your present comfort. Every disciplined choice is a message to yourself, I am worth the effort. Over time, that message becomes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. There will be moments when motivation tempts you to chase shortcuts. Discipline resists. Shortcuts often promise results, but produce shallow foundations. Discipline builds slowly, deeply, and sustainably. What is built with discipline lasts because it was earned, not rushed. Discipline teaches patience, trains you to accept delayed gratification without losing focus. In a world obsessed with instant results, discipline becomes a competitive advantage. Most people quit too early. They stop when the work becomes repetitive or when progress feels boring. Discipline thrives in repetition. Understands that mastery is found in the mundane. Discipline also brings clarity. When you have systems in place, you no longer waste energy deciding what to do each day. You already know. Habits remove hesitation. Structure reduces stress. Consistency eliminates confusion. Discipline simplifies life by reducing the number of decisions you have to make. There will be days when discipline feels heavy, days when every step feels like resistance, but those are often the days that matter most. Growth rarely happens on the easy days. It happens when you choose to continue despite discomfort. Discipline teaches you to push through internal resistance without self-judgment. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. When you repeatedly do what you said you would do, confidence grows naturally, not loud confidence, but quiet assurance. You stop doubting your ability to follow through. You stop needing external validation. You know who you are because your actions confirm it daily. Motivation can lie, can convince you that rest is quitting or that waiting is wisdom when it is actually fear. Discipline tells the truth, distinguishes between rest and avoidance, patience and procrastination. Discipline listens to wisdom, not excuses. This does not mean motivation is useless. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. Without discipline, motivation burns out quickly. With discipline, even small motivation can produce massive outcomes. The life you want will not be built by moments of inspiration. It will be built by daily decisions, repeated actions, and quiet commitments honored over time. Discipline will carry you through seasons when motivation disappears completely. When motivation returns, it will find a life already moving forward. Silence is often misunderstood. It is mistaken for weakness, fear, or indecision. In a world that celebrates noise, constant explanation, and instant reaction, silence can look like surrender. But silence, when chosen intentionally, is not absence of strength. It is evidence of it. There comes a season in life when silence stops being a response and starts becoming a strategy. Silence is what happens when you no longer feel the need to prove who you are. Early in life, we speak to be seen, heard, and validated. We explain ourselves because we want understanding. We defend ourselves because we want fairness. We announce our plans because we want affirmation. Growth changes those needs. As clarity increases, the urge to speak decreases. Silence becomes a form of self-control. Not everything deserves your words. Every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every opinion requires a rebuttal. Silence teaches you discernment, how to decide what is worthy of your energy and what is not. When you respond to everything, you give everything power. When you choose silence, you take power back. Words scatter attention, silence gathers it. The more you talk, the more you invite distraction, comparison, interference. Silence allows you to work without interruption, to think without pressure, to build without observation. It creates a sacred space where ideas can mature before they are exposed. Many plans fail not because they were wrong, but because they were shared too early. When silence becomes a strategy, you stop announcing your moves and start making them. You learn that progress does not need permission. Results speak louder than explanations ever could. Silence lets your work introduce you instead of your words. Silence also reveals character, both yours and others. When you stop reacting, you start observing. You see who thrives on drama, who depends on your responses, who respects your boundaries, and who only felt powerful when you engaged. Silence removes the mask from people who needed your reaction to feel relevant. There is strength in restraint. Silence is not passive, it is controlled. It is choosing not to react emotionally even when provoked. It is holding your peace when chaos invites you to join. This kind of silence takes more strength than speaking because it requires mastery over ego. Silence trains emotional discipline. When you do not immediately respond, you give yourself time to think clearly. You separate facts from feelings. You stop saying things you will later regret. Silence becomes a pause that saves relationships, reputations, and opportunities. In silence, wisdom grows. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. You notice patterns. You sense direction. Noise drowns intuition. Silence amplifies it. Many people miss guidance, not because it is absent, because their lives are too loud to hear it. Silence also exposes insecurity. Those who are uncomfortable with your silence often benefited from your explanations. When you stop justifying yourself, insecure people feel threatened. May label you as distant, proud, or cold, but distance is not arrogance, it is protection. Silence is a boundary without words. Silence is especially powerful during growth. While you are becoming, you do not need an audience. Becoming requires privacy. It requires mistakes without judgment and progress without pressure. Silence shields the process. It allows you to grow without constantly being evaluated. Silence does not mean you lack a voice. It means you are choosing when to use it. Strategic silence speaks at the right time, not every time. When you finally speak after a period of silence, your words carry weight. People listen because you do not speak often. Your voice gains authority because it is rare. Silence also teaches humility. It reminds you that you do not have to win every argument. Peace is sometimes more valuable than being right. Silence allows you to let go of the need to control how others perceive you. You accept that misunderstanding is part of life, and not all misunderstanding requires correction. In relationships, silence can be healing. It creates space for reflection. It prevents unnecessary conflict. It allows emotions to settle. Silence does not mean avoidance. It means timing. Knowing when to speak is wisdom. Knowing when to remain silent is maturity. Silence is also a test. It tests patience. It tests trust. It tests whether you truly believe in what you are building or whether you need constant reassurance. Those who are secure can wait. Those who are confident can stay quiet. Those who know where they are going do not feel pressure to explain the journey. When silence becomes a strategy, you stop reacting to provocation. You stop feeding negativity. You stop explaining your growth to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You let actions replace arguments. You let results answer questions. Silence is not withdrawal. It is preparation. It is the calm before clarity. It is the space where intention sharpens and strength consolidates. It is where you learn to trust yourself. There will be moments when silence feels uncomfortable, when you want to speak, defend, or announce. But discipline in silence produces power in presence. The less you speak, the more people notice when you do. Growth is never quiet. Growth is never easy. Growth does not arrive politely, nor does it ask permission. The moment you begin to stretch beyond the boundaries of your old self, resistance appears. Not as an enemy, but as a signal, a confirmation, signpost that you are moving in the right direction. Resistance is inevitable when you attempt to expand, when you pursue purpose. When you refuse to settle for mediocrity, it confirms that you are no longer the person you used to be and that the world around you is beginning to take notice. Resistance is the universal companion of transformation. It appears in many forms: doubt, criticism, fear, setbacks, delays, and opposition from others. The more you grow, the more intense it becomes. The closer you get to your potential, the louder the pushback. Some people will try to discourage you. Some circumstances will challenge you. Some parts of yourself will question you. Resistance does not indicate failure. It indicates evolution. It is easy to feel confused when life suddenly begins to push back. You may ask, why is this happening now? Why do I face obstacles when I am trying to improve? Why do people react negatively to my progress? The answer is simple. Resistance is a mirror reflecting growth. It shows you that you are stepping beyond comfort zones, beyond old patterns, beyond the limitations others have tried to place on you. Growth always disrupts the familiar. Challenge with resistance is that it often arrives disguised as negativity or failure. A promotion may be delayed. A dream may face unexpected barriers. Relationships may become strained. Criticism may come from friends, family, or colleagues. But these are not signs of defeat. These are signs that your life is no longer compatible with the old version of yourself. Resistance appears because you are stretching into a new identity. Old systems, both internal and external, resist the transformation. Every form of resistance carries a message. Sometimes it is a lesson, sometimes it is a test, sometimes it is a warning. Not every struggle is meant to stop you. Many are meant to prepare you. Many are meant to refine you. Many are meant to prove your commitment to your purpose. When you encounter resistance, it is an opportunity to ask, what am I learning? How am I being refined? How strong is my commitment to this new version of myself? Internal resistance is as real as external resistance. Growth triggers fear, doubt, and uncertainty. You may feel unprepared for the responsibilities that accompany progress. You may worry about failure or ridicule. You may question your own ability to sustain the change, but internal resistance is proof that growth is happening inside. It is the mind and spirit adjusting to the new level. The presence of fear does not indicate weakness. It indicates potential. External resistance tests your perseverance. People may criticize or try to distract you. Circumstances may push back. Resources may seem insufficient. The world often resists those who refuse to conform because your growth threatens the status quo. The louder the resistance, the more important the breakthrough. Bigger the opposition, the greater the potential impact. Resistance is a gauge, a measure of your readiness to step into new territory. Many give up at the first hint of resistance. They confuse opposition with rejection. They believe that struggle is a sign of incompatibility with purpose. But the truth is that resistance confirms you are on the path where growth exists. If there were no resistance, you may not be moving far enough. Growth is never comfortable. Comfort is often the enemy of transformation. Resistance also develops resilience. Every challenge strengthens endurance. Every obstacle teaches adaptability. Every opposing force requires strategy, patience, and discipline. Resistance refines character and builds the mental, emotional, and spiritual muscles necessary for sustained success. You do not know how strong you are until resistance forces you to draw on strength you never thought you had. Resistance teaches patience as well. Growth does not happen overnight. It requires persistence, repeated effort, and unwavering faith. Resistance slows the process. That is not a setback. It is preparation. It allows you to mature in ways that rapid success never could. It teaches timing, persistence, and humility. It forces you to learn that shortcuts rarely produce enduring results. Another truth about resistance is that it filters. It reveals who is supportive, who is neutral, and who is toxic. It clarifies relationships, exposing those who cheer your growth from those who resent it. Resistance separates those who wish you well from those who wish you stagnant. It shows you who belongs in your new season and who is meant to remain in the old. Resistance is selective, and that selectivity is beneficial. Resistance also sharpens focus. When you encounter opposition, distractions fall away. You learn to prioritize what matters most. Noise loses power. Clarity emerges. The mind becomes more disciplined because there is no longer room for compromise. Resistance forces you to decide, are you committed enough to persevere despite pushback? Are you serious about growth, or are you merely experimenting? History shows that every great achievement was preceded by resistance. Leaders, innovators, and pioneers faced opposition precisely because they were stepping beyond what was considered normal or safe. Resistance was inevitable because transformation threatened systems. Resistance is not punishment, it is proof that what you are doing matters. Resistance cultivates courage. The act of continuing in spite of obstacles teaches bravery. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting in the presence of it. Each time you face resistance and move forward, confidence grows. Fear loses authority over your decisions. And over time, resistance becomes a training ground, preparing you for challenges that accompany higher levels of responsibility. If your goals and actions provoke opposition, it is often because you are moving in a direction that is authentic, significant, and powerful. The world is uncomfortable with change, especially change that threatens to elevate you beyond familiar boundaries. The opposition confirms that you are not settling. It confirms that your growth is real. It confirms that you are stepping into a destiny that matters. It is a test, a mirror, and a measure. And when met with perseverance, faith, and discipline, resistance eventually gives way to breakthrough. Growth cannot be stopped, not when it is authentic. Resistance only delays the inevitable so that you emerge stronger, wiser, and more prepared to handle what comes next. So do not fear resistance. Do not avoid it. Do not mistake it for failure. When life pushes back, know that you are stretching into new levels of power, authority, and purpose. Let resistance remind you that growth is happening. Let it teach patience, resilience, and focus. Let it sharpen your determination, because resistance does not deny your potential. It confirms it. Resistance is proof that you are moving. Resistance is confirmation that you are growing. Resistance is the signature of transformation. And when you push through it, the life you have been waiting for will meet you on the other side. You are not being opposed by accident. You are being tested because you are stepping into the next version of yourself. Resistance is a stamp of validation from the universe you are growing. Keep moving. Keep stretching. Keep trusting. The struggle is not against you. It is for you. Growth is happening, and resistance is your confirmation. Confusion is heavy. It clouds the mind, fogs the heart, paralyzes action. It makes simple decisions feel impossible and complex choices feel terrifying. Confusion comes to everyone at some point, usually disguised as indecision, doubt, or fear. But clarity is the antidote. Clarity is light. It illuminates paths that once seemed hidden, simplifies what once felt complicated, and restores peace to a mind that has been restless. In 2026, clarity will not simply visit. It will replace confusion, transforming the way you see, decide, and act. We are trying to move forward without seeing the whole picture, relying on assumptions rather than truth. We make choices based on fear instead of principle. We follow crowds instead of calling. Confusion thrives in noise and distraction, overthinking and over-explaining. But clarity cuts through all of it. Clarity is not vague or wishful. Clarity is intentional, precise, and purposeful. It knows where to go and how to get there. When clarity replaces confusion, life becomes simpler. Decisions no longer feel like a test. Choices are no longer paralyzing. You begin to see your priorities and align your actions accordingly. You stop wasting energy on what is irrelevant and begin investing in what truly matters. Confusion clouds the lens through which you view opportunity. Clarity focuses that lens so that everything comes into sharp definition. Clarity comes from truth. It comes from honesty with yourself and with the world around you. It requires you to strip away the illusions, excuses, justifications that have kept you stuck. It demands reflection, introspection, and sometimes uncomfortable awareness. But once clarity emerges, confusion cannot return without permission. Once the fog lifts, you see the path, the people, and the purpose with unmistakable precision. Confusion often tempts you to seek external validation. When you are unclear, you ask everyone around you what to do, who to trust, or where to go. You seek affirmation because your own vision is blurred. Clarity, however, builds internal authority. When clarity replaces confusion, you no longer depend on the opinions of others to make decisions. You act from understanding rather than from pressure. You move with confidence because your mind and your heart are aligned. Clarity also replaces fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty. Uncertainty leaves space for doubt, hesitation, and worry. When you are confused, every decision feels risky. Every action feels dangerous. Clarity reduces fear because it gives direction. It tells you what to pursue and what to release. It provides boundaries for your energy, protecting you from the distractions and detours that keep you small. When clarity arrives, fear loses its grip. Clarity requires commitment. It is not a passive experience. You do not accidentally stumble into clarity while distracted or half engaged. You must be willing to sit in stillness, evaluate your circumstances, and confront the reality of your life. Clarity is the reward for focus, discipline, and patience. It is the fruit of intentional thought applied to life, consistently and persistently. One of the most powerful effects of clarity is how it changes your perception of time. Confusion makes time feel overwhelming, as though there is too much to do and too little progress. It stretches moments and magnifies stress. Clarity shrinks complexity and highlights what truly deserves your attention. Suddenly, tasks that seemed impossible become manageable. Goals that felt far away become achievable. What once paralyzed you now propels you forward. Clarity also sharpens relationships. When your mind is clouded, you misread intentions, overreact to misunderstandings, and allow negativity to dictate your interactions. Confusion in relationships breeds conflict, miscommunication, and regret. But when clarity replaces confusion, you see people as they are, not as you fear they are. You understand motives, recognize patterns, and set boundaries that protect your peace. You begin to engage intentionally rather than react impulsively. Clarity transforms ambition into action. Many people have dreams but remain stagnant because their vision is blurred. Confusion makes goals feel abstract, while clarity makes them concrete. When clarity arrives, you know not just what you want, but also why you want it, how to achieve it, what to prioritize first. Every step becomes deliberate, calculated, and powerful. Confusion whispers, start anywhere, while clarity declares, start here in this way with purpose. Clarity is a shield against regret. When you act in confusion, you often look back wishing you had chosen differently. When you act with clarity, regret diminishes because your decisions are rooted in understanding and alignment. Clarity allows you to move forward without looking back unnecessarily, to trust that each choice is informed by wisdom, not impulse. Clarity replaces indecision with action. Confusion paralyzes, making you freeze while life passes by. You may wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, perfect circumstances, and in waiting, opportunity slips away. Clarity removes hesitation because it illuminates the next right step. It gives you direction, and with direction comes momentum. Spiritual clarity is also part of this transformation. When your spirit is aligned, you begin to recognize signs, opportunities, and warnings that were invisible before. Decisions that once required struggle now feel natural. Guidance that once seemed distant now becomes obvious. Clarity does not require you to have all the answers, but it allows you to see what is most important and trust the process for the rest. Clarity cultivates confidence. When confusion dominates, doubt overwhelms, every choice is second-guessed, every step is measured in fear. But clarity removes uncertainty from your identity. You know who you are, what you are capable of, and where you are going. That confidence does not come from arrogance, it comes from alignment. When you see clearly, you act courageously. Perhaps most importantly, clarity replaces chaos with peace. Confusion is heavy, exhausting, and distracting. It steals your joy, divides your attention, and clouds your judgment. Clarity restores calm. It simplifies life by showing you what is essential and what can be released. It allows you to move forward without unnecessary struggle. When clarity replaces confusion, peace is no longer an aspiration. It becomes a byproduct of understanding. Clarity is the bridge between intention and fulfillment. It ensures that every effort is purposeful, every decision is directed, and every action aligns with vision. Confusion is wasted energy. Clarity is empowered action. Confusion leaves you scattered. Clarity gives you power. Confusion keeps you small. Clarity expands you. The transition from confusion to clarity is not instantaneous. It requires patience, discipline, and reflection. It may require letting go of things that no longer serve you, stepping away from noise, and trusting your own wisdom. But once clarity is achieved, confusion can no longer dominate. Life no longer feels like a storm. You begin to see the path, the steps, and the destination. When clarity replaces confusion, you do not just see life differently, you live differently. You make decisions with authority, act with intention, and pursue goals with precision. You engage with people and opportunities from a place of understanding, not uncertainty. You no longer stumble through life reacting to circumstances. You move forward confident, deliberate, and aligned. Clarity does not eliminate challenges, but it eliminates aimlessness. It does not remove opposition. It strengthens response. It does not guarantee immediate results, but it guarantees direction. And in a world filled with noise, distraction, and uncertainty, clarity is a gift, a compass, a shield, and a strategy all in one. When confusion fades and clarity arrives, everything changes. Decisions are easier. Priorities are sharper, relationships are stronger, goals are within reach, peace replaces anxiety, momentum replaces hesitation. Life moves from chaos to order. In that clarity, you discover the power to step boldly into your next season, fully aware, fully prepared, and fully confident. Clarity replaces confusion because it is the light that reveals the path. It is the wisdom that directs the steps. It is the understanding that frees the mind. Once clarity takes root, confusion no longer has authority. And once that happens, nothing, no circumstance, no fear, no doubt can stop you from moving forward. Fear is a powerful force. It paralyzes, it whispers doubt, it exaggerates risk. It convinces us that we are smaller than we truly are. Fear is not always loud. Often it sits quietly in the corners of your mind, influencing your decisions, shaping your actions, and keeping you confined to a life far below your potential. But authority replaces fear. Authority is the understanding of your own power, the awareness of your capacity, and the confidence in your calling. It does not remove challenges. It removes the control that fear once held over your life. Authority begins within. It starts with self-recognition. Fear thrives in the shadows of uncertainty, in the absence of clarity, and in the moments when you question your worth. Authority replaces all of that because it is grounded in knowledge, knowledge of who you are, what you are capable of, and why you exist. When you know your value, fear loses its grip. You no longer react to every threat or perceived limitation. You stand firm because you understand that you are equipped to handle what comes. Fear limits. It forces hesitation and keeps you small. It focuses on obstacles, magnifies problems, and convinces you that retreat is safety. Authority does the opposite. Authority empowers. It shifts your focus from the size of the problem to the strength within you. It transforms challenge into opportunity and opposition into proof that you are stepping into something greater than before. The more authority you claim, the less fear can dictate your decisions. Authority is cultivated through action. The moment you step forward despite fear, you weaken its hold. Every time you choose obedience over hesitation, courage over comfort, and initiative over doubt, you assert authority in your own life. Authority is not inherited or given. It is earned through consistent demonstration of capability. Each decision to act despite fear is a brick in the foundation of your personal power. Fear often manifests as comparison. It convinces you that others are more capable, more deserving, or better positioned than you. Authority silences that voice. Authority understands that your journey is unique and that your growth cannot be measured by someone else's timeline. Authority comes from the realization that you are equipped with everything you need to navigate your path, even when it looks uncertain or challenging. Authority replaces fear because it shifts perspective. Fear sees obstacles, authority sees possibilities. Fear sees risk, authority sees preparation. Fear sees limitation, authority sees potential. Where fear focuses on what could go wrong, authority focuses on what must be done. It is a mindset that refuses to be intimidated by circumstance or deterred by opposition. It is the knowledge that no external situation can diminish the power of internal resolve. Authority is not about controlling everyone else. It is about controlling yourself. Fear often drives people to manipulate, control, overreact because they feel vulnerable. Authority responds calmly, decisively, and intentionally. It sets boundaries without aggression, moves forward without apology, and influences without coercion. When you operate from authority, fear no longer dictates your interactions, decisions, or presence. You respond rather than react. You lead rather than follow. Fear thrives in uncertainty, grows in the unknown, and multiplies when you feel unprepared. Authority replaces this by cultivating readiness. Authority comes from preparation, discipline, and consistent growth. The more you equip yourself, the less power fear holds. Knowledge of your purpose, understanding of your strengths, mastery over your habits form armor against the intimidation of fear. Authority is preparation manifesting as confidence. Authority also transforms relationships. Fear often dictates how we interact with others. It can cause mistrust, avoidance, or overdependence. Authority enables discernment and assertiveness. It allows you to engage without anxiety, to communicate without desperation, to maintain integrity without compromise. When authority replaces fear, your relationships are governed by respect and alignment, not insecurity or neediness. Authority is displayed in presence. Fear shrinks, authority stands tall. Fear whispers doubt, authority speaks assurance. Fear hesitates, authority acts decisively. The very act of embodying authority influences others, shapes environments, and commands respect. Authority is not just internal, it is visible externally. People recognize confidence even when it is quiet. Authority radiates, fear fades in the presence of it. Fear is often fueled by past experiences. Trauma, failure, and disappointment plant seeds of hesitation and insecurity. Authority does not ignore the past, it learns from it. Authority integrates lessons without allowing previous limitations to dictate future possibilities. Every setback becomes training, every mistake becomes a blueprint for growth, and every hardship becomes an opportunity to demonstrate resilience. Authority transforms fear into wisdom. Authority replaces fear because it reframes risk. Fear exaggerates danger, making mountains out of molehills. Authority assesses reality. It calculates the challenge, weighs the options, and proceeds with intention. Authority recognizes that risk is inherent in progress and that action, even when uncertain, is preferable to stagnation. Fear keeps you frozen. Authority compels movement. Spiritual authority is also crucial in overcoming fear. When you understand your purpose and your connection to something greater than yourself, fear loses significance. Authority in this sense comes from trust, faith, and alignment with divine guidance. You move forward not because everything is safe or certain, but because you know that you are operating within a plan that transcends circumstance. Fear may warn, but authority obeys. Authority is strengthened through discipline. Every disciplined choice reinforces confidence and weakens fear. Discipline proves to yourself that you are capable of follow through, that you can resist impulse, and that you can endure challenge. Authority grows from repeated evidence that you can trust your own actions. Fear has no claim when authority is demonstrated consistently. Authority does not eliminate challenges, it conquers them. It does not promise a life without obstacles, it promises a life with resilience. Fear disappears not because circumstances are safe, but because you have chosen mastery over hesitation. Authority allows you to face uncertainty with composure, opposition with strategy, and pressure with resolve. The transition from fear to authority is gradual but profound. It begins with awareness, recognizing when fear is influencing decisions. It continues with action, choosing to act despite fear. And it culminates in identity, accepting that you are inherently capable, empowered, and responsible for your own life. Authority replaces fear because it transforms how you see yourself, how you interact with the world, and how you respond to adversity. Fear diminishes in the presence of action. Authority is action. Fear trembles when authority speaks. Every step taken with intentional courage, every boundary maintained with conviction, every decision executed with purpose reinforces authority and erodes fear. By the time authority fully replaces fear, Life looks different. You no longer hesitate to pursue opportunity. You no longer shrink from challenge. You no longer allow doubt to dictate your decisions. You act with intentionality, lead with presence, and move with confidence. Authority replaces fear not because fear is gone, because it no longer controls your narrative. Authority is the crown that replaces the chain of fear. It is the power that replaces paralysis. It is the clarity, courage, and confidence that rise from understanding your value, purpose, and potential. When authority replaces fear, life ceases to intimidate you. Challenges no longer terrify you. Obstacles no longer stop you. The person you were yesterday, the one limited by doubt, becomes a distant memory. Authority is not a gift. It is cultivated. It grows through experience, obedience, discipline, and courage. And once it takes root, fear loses its throne. Resistance is met with composure. Every step forward is taken with assurance. In 2026, let authority replace fear. Stand firm in your purpose. Step boldly into your calling. Move decisively despite opposition. Lead with confidence, act with courage, and trust your own strength. Fear may whisper, authority speaks, and what you speak shapes your destiny. The world often sees the result and assumes it was instantaneous, effortless, simply a matter of luck. They look at success, recognition, influence, or opportunity, and they do not see the countless unseen decisions that led to it. But what is public is always preceded by what is private. Every breakthrough, every achievement, every moment that seems monumental in the public eye is built on a foundation of private choices. The life you want to live, the impact you want to make, the success you hope to achieve, all begin behind closed doors, in moments of solitude, in decisions that no one else witnesses. Private choices define character. They reveal integrity, discipline, and commitment long before anyone notices. They are the choices you make when no one is watching, the choice to study when you are tired, to pray when you are discouraged, to keep working when everyone else has given up. These choices may seem small, insignificant, or even invisible at the moment. Their cumulative power is extraordinary. The public only sees the final chapter. The private choices write every page that leads there. Breakthroughs cannot happen without preparation, and preparation is always private. Person who achieves the impossible is the one who prepared when no one was paying attention. They chose growth over comfort, action over excuses, and persistence over surrender. Private choices create a reserve of strength, skill, and insight that public circumstances eventually draw upon. When opportunity arrives, the prepared are ready, not because they were lucky, but because they invested in the invisible work. Discipline is central to private choices. It is the daily, sometimes mundane, commitment to act in alignment with your goals and values. Discipline may not be celebrated today, but it sets the stage for tomorrow's success. When you make private choices consistently, you develop momentum that is unshakable. The small victories, repeated daily, compound into a readiness for breakthrough that cannot be manufactured externally. Private choices are also about restraint. What you refuse to do in secret often matters as much as what you choose to do. Avoiding shortcuts, resisting temptation, and holding your integrity in moments of ease or opportunity shapes your future impact. Public recognition does not reward compromise, hidden corners of dishonesty, or fleeting indulgence. True breakthroughs come from those who master themselves first, not those who master circumstance alone. Consistency is the secret power behind private choices. One isolated act does not create a breakthrough. It is the rhythm of repeated choices, study, discipline, prayer, preparation, reflection, and refinement that eventually manifests as visible change. These choices are like seeds planted quietly in the soil of your life. For a season, nothing may appear above ground. It may seem as though the effort is wasted, though progress is invisible, but beneath the surface, roots are forming, strength is building, and growth is inevitable. Public breakthroughs are simply the moment those roots pierce the soil and reveal the preparation that has long been underway. Private choices also cultivate resilience. Life will test your determination, patience, and focus. The difference between those who succeed and those who falter often lies in the decisions made away from the spotlight. choosing to persevere when circumstances are discouraging, to remain committed when rewards are delayed, to continue pursuing purpose when no applause is present develops a strength that public success alone cannot teach. Breakthroughs that come without resilience often crumble. Those built on private choices withstand pressure, scrutiny, and opposition. Power of private choices is also spiritual. Many breakthroughs are the result of unseen faith, prayer, meditation, or reflection. You may not see the person kneeling in solitude, the hours spent in thought, or the silent dedication to values, but those moments cultivate insight, wisdom, spiritual alignment. Public breakthroughs often feel miraculous to outsiders, but they are rooted in private obedience, patience, and consistency. Spiritual preparation is a private investment that translates into public manifestation. Private choices also develop focus. When you are alone, free from external pressure or influence, you must decide what matters most. Every choice to prioritize growth, clarity, vision over distraction, or convenience sharpens your focus. You learn the importance of saying no to what does not serve your purpose and yes to what does. This discernment, cultivated privately, ensures that public breakthroughs are not chaotic or accidental, but intentional and aligned. Sacrifice is often hidden in private choices. Time, comfort, pleasure, and even relationships may be temporarily surrendered for the sake of vision. These sacrifices are rarely acknowledged immediately. Society may not celebrate the early mornings, late nights, or quiet preparation. Yet these private investments are what make breakthroughs sustainable. What you refuse today in secret shapes the freedom, influence, authority you will enjoy tomorrow. Private choices create confidence. The courage to act publicly comes from repeated practice in private. Every risk you take in solitude, every moment you choose courage over convenience, prepares you to step into visibility without fear. Confidence does not emerge spontaneously. It is forged in the crucible of private decisions. When the breakthrough appears in public, the authority, poise, and assurance with which you handle it reflect a lifetime of private preparation. Every public breakthrough also carries responsibility. Private choices teach accountability, patience, and foresight. When the world celebrates success, it does not always recognize the wisdom required to handle it. The discipline of private choice ensures that breakthroughs do not destroy the person who achieved them, that they amplify purpose rather than inflate ego. The foundation built in secret becomes the guide for navigating success responsibly. Public breakthroughs are a reflection of internal alignment. They confirm that what you have been cultivating privately, discipline, focus, sacrifice, integrity, and faith, is manifesting in visible outcomes. Breakthroughs do not define value, private choices do. They teach humility, perseverance, and self-mastery. Recognition is temporary. Transformation cultivated in private endures. Ultimately, private choices create public breakthroughs because life rewards preparation, consistency, and intentionality. Success, influence, wealth, authority, and opportunity are not random. They are the visible evidence of invisible effort. You cannot fake private work and expect authentic results. The investment made when no one is watching determines the return you will see when everyone is watching. The lesson is clear. Your life is being built in moments that few people witness. The decisions you make in solitude, the discipline you maintain when discouraged, the sacrifices you endure without applause, and the integrity you uphold when it is inconvenient. All of these determine the magnitude of your breakthrough. Public recognition is merely the reflection of private excellence. Do not seek validation in the process. Do not measure your value by immediate recognition. Focus on what you do when no one is watching. Choose consistently, act intentionally, and remain faithful to the unseen work. Trust that private choices have more power than public opinion, and that the breakthroughs you desire will emerge naturally when preparation meets opportunity. When private choices become deliberate, consistent, and aligned with purpose, public breakthroughs are inevitable. They are not accidental. They are not lucky. They are the direct result of unseen discipline, thoughtful preparation, strategic action, and personal integrity. Life rewards those who invest in what cannot be observed, because it is those investments that create the strength, wisdom, authority necessary to handle public success. Your choices today, when no one is watching, are shaping the breakthroughs you will experience tomorrow. Make them with intention. Make them with courage. Make them with discipline. Because the private work you commit to now will manifest publicly in ways that will astonish everyone around you. And when the world finally sees it, they will only see the result, never realizing the depth, consistency, and devotion behind it. Private choices create public breakthroughs. Never underestimate the power of the unseen. The foundation is what carries the structure. The seeds you plant in solitude will bloom in the light. Your diligence in secret is your invitation to greatness in public. Your breakthrough is coming. It will arrive because of the choices you make when no one is watching. Everything in life begins on the inside. The world you experience is a reflection of the inner reality you carry. Before circumstances shift, before opportunities arise, before relationships align, personal transformation must occur. Change does not start with the external, it starts with you. Your thoughts, habits, beliefs, mindset shape the environment around you. Personal transformation triggers external change because the outer world responds to the energy, authority, vision you cultivate internally. Transformation is not cosmetic. It is not about appearing different or simply adjusting behavior for external approval. True personal transformation starts with your mind, heart, and spirit. It begins with awareness, recognizing areas where fear, doubt, and limitation have held you back. It continues with discipline, intentional growth, and alignment with your purpose. The external changes you desire, success, influence, opportunity, and breakthrough will only manifest when internal work precedes it. The first element of personal transformation is mindset. Your thoughts govern your perception, decisions, and actions. When your mind is clouded with fear, doubt, or negativity, your reality mirrors that confusion. You perceive obstacles as immovable walls, opportunities as scarce, and people as threats. But when you transform your thinking, when you cultivate clarity, focus, and positive expectation, the external world shifts in response. Doors that seemed closed begin to open. Connections that once felt distant draw near. Life responds to the internal signals you broadcast. Habits are another critical component. Personal transformation is reinforced through the repeated actions that shape daily life. The choices you make consistently, even when no one is watching, compound into your character and capabilities. Discipline in small things, how you manage time, respond to challenge, treat others, and maintain integrity, creates patterns that manifest externally as reliability, competence, and influence. External opportunities are drawn to the habits you cultivate privately. Transformation is the magnet, external change is the attraction. Emotional growth is equally important. Many external struggles, conflict, disappointment, loss, and rejection are magnified by internal instability. When emotions are unchecked, reactions are inconsistent, relationships fracture, and opportunities slip away. Personal transformation teaches emotional intelligence, how to respond instead of react, how to communicate clearly, how to maintain peace amidst chaos. When your internal world stabilizes, the external world stabilizes with it. People respond to calmness with respect, chaos with confusion, clarity with alignment, and tension with avoidance. Transformation calibrates the atmosphere around you. Belief in purpose is a cornerstone of internal transformation. When you understand your why, your decisions, actions, and energy are directed. Purpose aligns vision with action, providing a framework for navigating challenges. External circumstances rarely create motivation. Motivation originates internally. When you are committed to purpose, the world begins to cooperate. Opportunities that seemed random suddenly appear as confirmations of your path. Influence grows because authenticity attracts alignment. Transformation triggers the ripple effect outward. Self-discipline amplifies transformation. The external world respects consistency. Personal transformation is incomplete without the ability to regulate actions, resist distractions, persist despite resistance. Every disciplined step signals to the universe and to others that you are serious. External change rarely follows laziness or inconsistency. Transformation trains you to respond to challenges with resilience, to take initiative in uncertainty, to create outcomes rather than waiting for them. Your internal consistency commands external results. Relationships are shaped by transformation. Your growth internally changes the way you interact externally. As you cultivate self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and integrity, you no longer tolerate toxic relationships, distractions, or negativity. External connections shift naturally to match your elevated standards. Some relationships will deepen, others will fade. This is the external confirmation of internal growth. You do not force change on people or circumstances. You simply transform yourself and the environment responds. Perspective is another aspect of transformation. The lens through which you view life determines the reality you experience. Those stuck in limitations see scarcity, those transformed see abundance. Those trapped in fear see obstacles, those transformed see opportunity. Your external world mirrors your internal viewpoint. Transformation expands perception, allowing you to recognize possibilities that were invisible before. Change in perspective is often the first step to external transformation. Resistance and opposition often accompany transformation. The external world does not always welcome internal growth. Change threatens old patterns, challenges assumptions, and disrupts comfort zones. But resistance is confirmation that transformation is occurring. External friction is a natural response to internal elevation. The more aligned, disciplined, and purposeful you become, the more your environment may push back. This is a sign that transformation is powerful enough to trigger noticeable external shifts. Transformation also requires courage. Many people desire external change without the willingness to confront internal truth. They hope circumstances will change first. Transformation demands facing fears, acknowledging weaknesses, and stepping into discomfort. The internal courage you cultivate signals to the external world that you are prepared for greater responsibility, influence, and opportunity. Breakthroughs are seldom random. They follow the alignment and authority cultivated internally. Spiritual transformation amplifies the effect, aligning with principles greater than yourself, values, ethics, faith, or purpose magnifies internal growth and creates external results that are sustainable. Spiritual alignment brings guidance, protection, and insight, ensures that external changes are not just temporary or superficial, but resonate with your core identity. Transformation becomes the source of authentic influence and enduring impact. Action is the bridge between internal transformation and external change. Thoughts, beliefs, habits, and emotional growth are powerful, but they must be activated to create real world results. Every intentional step you take, consistently, courageously, and strategically moves internal transformation into visible reality. Transformation without action remains potential. Action without transformation risks failure. Together, they produce breakthroughs, influence, and progress. External circumstances are always responsive to your internal state. When your identity strengthens, opportunities align. When your discipline grows, your influence expands. When your mindset shifts, obstacles shrink. When your integrity solidifies, trust and authority increase. The world reacts to the power, alignment, and energy you carry internally. Transformation is the seed, external change is the harvest. Timing is also crucial. Transformation does not always produce immediate external results. The process is gradual, often unseen, and requires patience. Each internal adjustment compounds over time, eventually reaching a tipping point where external change becomes inevitable. Consistency in personal transformation ensures that when external circumstances align, you are ready to seize the opportunity fully and with authority. Ultimately, personal transformation is the foundation for lasting, meaningful change in the external world. You cannot rely on circumstances, luck, other people to create the life you desire. You must invest in yourself, your mind habits, emotions, purpose, and discipline. As you grow, the world adjusts around you, opportunities emerge, relationships shift, challenges are met with resilience, and influence expands. Transformation triggers the ripple effect that manifests externally, creating results that are visible, impactful, and aligned with your potential. Transformation is internal, change is external. Authority, clarity, discipline, and purpose, all cultivated within, shape the world around you. The breakthroughs, the recognition, the progress, and the impact you desire are always a reflection of the work done privately. External circumstances respond to internal alignment. The life you see outside is always a mirror of who you have become inside. In 2026, personal transformation will be the catalyst for every breakthrough, every shift, and every opportunity. The moment you commit to evolving internally, the external world will begin to shift in response. Private discipline, emotional growth, purpose alignment, spiritual authority will produce public manifestations of success, influence, and progress. Personal transformation does not just prepare you for change, it creates it. Change begins with you. Transform yourself internally. The external world cannot help but follow. The life you desire is waiting, but it is unlocked through the deliberate, disciplined, courageous transformation you choose today. Personal transformation triggers external change because nothing that matters can happen outside until it first happens inside.